On a cold autumn night in Hollywood, the audience inside The Tonight Show waited with excitement as the legendary cowboy actor John Wayne slowly walked onto the stage beside Johnny Carson. The applause was thunderous. For decades, John Wayne had been the symbol of strength, the fearless hero who never backed down from a fight. But tonight, something felt different. Johnny noticed it immediately. Wayne's famous swagger was slower, his smile was softer, and though he tried to hide it, there was pain behind his eyes. Johnny shook his hand warmly. "Ladies and gentlemen," Carson said gently, "it's always an honor to welcome Duke himself." The crowd cheered again, but Wayne only nodded quietly. As the interview began, the two men joked about old Western films, horses, and Hollywood memories. The audience laughed often, but Johnny could sense that Wayne's energy was fading. Between laughs, the legendary actor would stare down at his hands for a few seconds, almost lost in thought. Then Johnny asked a simple question. "Duke, after all these years, what's the hardest part about growing older?" The studio suddenly became silent. John Wayne leaned back in his chair and took a long breath. "You spend your whole life thinking you're invincible," he said softly. "You play heroes on the screen so long, eventually people think you can't break." Johnny's smile faded. Wayne looked out at the audience. "But everybody breaks someday." The room became completely still. For a moment, the tough cowboy image disappeared. This wasn't the fearless gunslinger from the movies. This was an aging man quietly facing the end of his journey. Wayne continued, "I've buried friends, watched the world change, and now I wake up realizing there's more years behind me than ahead." Some audience members lowered their heads. A woman in the front row wiped away tears. Johnny Carson rarely became emotional on camera, but even he looked shaken. Then Wayne gave a weak smile. "But I'll tell you something, Johnny. The thing I miss most isn't Hollywood." Johnny leaned closer. "It's time," Wayne whispered. "Time with the people you love before it slips away." The audience fell silent again. Johnny softly asked, "Are you scared?" Wayne paused for several seconds. The proud actor looked toward the bright studio lights above him. "Yes," he admitted quietly, "a little." Those words hit harder than any dramatic movie scene he had ever filmed. The strongest man in Hollywood admitting fear. Johnny reached over and placed a hand on Wayne's shoulder. "You know," Carson said carefully, "millions of people grew up watching you. To them, you'll always be larger than life." Wayne smiled sadly. "That's the problem with being larger than life," he replied. "People forget you're human." The audience applauded softly, not with excitement but with respect. As the interview ended, Johnny stood beside Wayne while the cameras slowly pulled back. For a brief moment, the two men simply stood there in silence under the warm studio lights, one trying to comfort an old friend, the other quietly carrying the weight of time. Years later, many people would remember that interview not because of jokes or laughter, but because for one heartbreaking night the world saw the real John Wayne, not the cowboy, not the legend. Just a man facing the truth that no one can outrun time forever.